Looking like you truly do not care takes an incredible amount of work. To project a vibe of total, unbothered indifference, you have to calculate almost every single detail. For the last few years, the dominant aesthetic required looking flawlessly hydrated. The clean girl and glass skin trends demanded extensive 12-step skincare routines and sheer layers of makeup to produce an aura of clinical perfection. It was beautiful, but it was exhausting to maintain. Summer 2026 has rejected the daytime garden party. The new look is built for an underground club opening. It relies on a slept-in, messy, born-on-the-guest list energy that looks completely accidental. This chart shows search volume data from Google, capturing a sudden spike in 2026 for late 90s and Y2K nostalgic terms. Millions of people are suddenly looking for blue mascara, frosted lips, and chunky hair accessories. The challenge is pulling off this raw, chaotic styling without actually looking like a disaster. Makeup artists have to engineer an edgy, worn-in aesthetic that holds up under harsh lighting. Achieving effortless cool means utilizing reverse cosmetic engineering. You are mimicking the physical evidence of a wild night out, relying on highly specific techniques rather than an actual lack of sleep. The precise, geometrically sharp cat eye is gone. The first step to engineering this aesthetic happens by breaking down the eye makeup. This stylized blueprint illustrates the difference between standard eyelid liner placement and the technique of tight lining. Instead of drawing on the skin above the lashes, a waterproof pigment is applied directly to the upper and lower inner waterlines of the eye. Pressing that pigment into the very root of the lash creates microdefinition. The lashes appear incredibly dense and dark, but because the eyelid itself remains bare, there is no obvious trace of makeup. To push the look further, artists use a sludged smoke method. They take a highly pigmented, creamy waterproof pencil, drag it along the lash line, and immediately diffuse it with a finger before the formula has a chance to lock down. Drawing from those surging Y2K data trends, artists are swapping out traditional blacks and browns for candy colors. Bright cyan eyeshadows, washes of watercolor pink, and vivid blue mascaras are taking over the lid. Abandoning sharp geometry for smudged, chaotic color completely alters how the face is read. It replaces technical perfection with raw attitude. Below the eyes, the skin itself is settling into a compromise. The industry has hit a wall of fatigue with both the hyper-wet, reflective look of glass skin and the heavy, flat coverage of full matte foundations. The solution is the controlled matte. Artists are skipping heavy powdering across the entire face, opting to spot powder only the T-zone. The skin maintains the realistic hydration of an active person, avoiding any greasy glare under the harsh lights. This vector graphic tracks a trend known as blush migration. The heavy pigment that used to sit squarely on the apples of the cheeks has moved entirely, traveling up toward the high cheekbones and extending into the temples. This high placement serves a mechanical purpose. It provides a structural lift to the face without requiring the heavy, obvious shadows of traditional contouring. While the face remains relatively matte, deep hydration is projected elsewhere. Body shimmer has returned, with illuminating balms and dry oils buffed directly into the collarbones and décolletage to create a healthy glow. By keeping the skin finish highly controlled and structural, the face acts as a healthy canvas. It ensures the smudged eyes above look intentional rather than genuinely exhausted. Down at the mouth, the rules of the messy eye are entirely inverted. The shellac lip requires a highly engineered, rigid structure. Building it requires a sturdy base. Artists tap whatever foundation is left on their brush directly over the lips to blur the natural borders, then dust the area with loose setting powder to create grip. Next comes the precision phase. A sharply pointed lip pencil is carefully used to draw a crisp, definitive edge. Once the border is established, the exact same liner is used to fill in the entire center. Finally, the seal. A thick layer of high-shine, immobile lacquer gloss is applied directly over that matte base. Crucially, you do not blot. The finish is meant to be highly reflective and completely locked down. The sharp, immovable architecture of the shellac lip acts as a visual anchor. Surrounded by the smudged, chaotic elements of the upper face, a perfectly lacquered mouth projects an untouchable confidence. When you assemble the full facial architecture, you get a highly specific contrast. a smudged, colorful eye, a controlled matte T-zone, lifted blush, and a rigid lip. This aesthetic is a calculated rebellion against the algorithmic perfectionism of the past decade. It's a rejection of the identical, filtered faces prioritized by social media feeds. Specific Y2K details like messy body glitter or stark, frosted textures are deployed as tools. They intentionally interrupt the standard templates of modern beauty. People want to look like individuals again. They want to project the image of someone who is actually living their life, surviving a night out, and entirely unconcerned with looking flawless. So tell us in the comments, which piece of this engineered aesthetic are you going to try? The lived-in eye, the controlled skin, or the shellac lip? The irony of looking like you don't care is recognizing exactly how much technique it takes to pull it off. In 2026, true unbothered coolness is the most carefully calculated illusion of all.